Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's Financial Freedom Fridays. Today, December 17th. So we know what next week is, right? Christmas. Hope you guys are ready for Christmas. And I hope Christmas was a part of your zero-based budget that you've been working on, right? Everybody's been working on that zero-based budget. I know your gifts are all in that budget. So what we're going to do, we're going to get started. We're going to review real quick last week, real quick, like in less than 10 minutes. So we're going to get going through the slides real quick. And hopefully you've been working on your assignment. Okay? So if we get that first slide, that'd be awesome. But, what we're supposed to be doing is, 10 reasons. Yeah, there we go. Creating pathways to financial independence. And the first slide is we were talking about, what is financial independence? And it's where you've got enough money through your assets, through your businesses, that's passive, that's able to overcome what your needs are. We're going to do a quick review. Yep. The state of having sufficient assets to overcome your daily needs, right? And how is that made possible? By being financially literate. And financially literate is about learning how to earn, manage, save, and invest our money, okay? That's the whole deal with financial literacy. And then some next slide. I put up a challenge, and I did get some feedback from several people, but take the financial literacy challenge and get the ebook. The ebook that I will send is awesome. You will thoroughly enjoy it, and I've been getting really good feedback on the ebook. So go to the link and then email me, and I'll send you the ebook, okay? So this information, you'll see it scrolling, you'll see it posted. So go take that challenge. Nextly is the book, How Money Works. How Money Works. And my question is how much time have you spent studying money and how money works? And not being a sucker. And we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But how money works is stop being a sucker, okay? So you got to study and apply ourselves to be good at anything, okay? It's not going to happen without applying ourselves and without studying, okay? Next slide. So you got to do things 3 times. First in your mind, 2 on paper, and 3 taking action. First, your mind, you got to think about and have a clear picture of what financial independence is to you. 2, you got to get it on paper. 3, you got to have a written plan. We're rolling into 2022, and I know that the end of the year is always a good time to set goals. What are your goals for next year? Financial goals, physical goals in terms of your health, spiritual goals, contribution goals that you're going to give back to other people, family and relationship goals. What are those? What are your goals for next year? You have them written down? You have a game plan for it? Because if we don't, do you want the next 5 years to look like the last 5 years? Well, that's up to you. Okay, next slide. Real quick. So you need to develop your 10 reasons. These are mine. What are your reasons why you have to be financially independent? Next slide. And then your 10 reasons and then 10 feelings. Our life is about how we go through life feeling a certain way. You ever hear people say they felt a certain way about something? Well, how are you feeling about your life? How are you feeling about how things are happening for you? Then it's up to you to make that change and to really program yourself. We're going to talk about that a little later. Program yourself for success. Just like there's TV programming, and this program is on blackdoctor.org, you have programming. And guess who gets to run the programs that are going through your brain? You do. And that programs are going to yield the results. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Next slide. You're supposed to be doing a zero-based budget. Starting at 0, looking at all your bills, looking at all your commitments, looking at your decisions. Okay? When you see something on a statement or a withdrawal, those are decisions. And your value system is driven by those decisions. I'm online right now to buy some concert tickets to see one of my favorite groups. I'm old school. Earth, Wind & Fire is going to be playing with Santana here in Chicago, and I'm going to go see him on July 2nd. And that's why I was a little late getting started. I was over here buying the tickets, and I forgot to click into the studio for the show. And I still haven't completed my transaction for the tickets. Hope they still be there. It's okay. So I value live music. right? And so your decisions in your budget show your values. So look at your budget, look at how you're spending your money, build it from the bottom up so you can create financial independence for yourself, okay? And cut out the things that aren't going to keep you on track for your goals. Next slide. Assignment before Christmas is to read that book, How Money Works. Get your copy, How Money Works. Put your 10 reasons together and your 10 feelings and have completed your zero-based budget. And then we talked about some percentages. And they're within the presentation. We need to be living on 40% of what we bring home. 40 to 50% of what we bring home. Ooh. Look at your budget, see how you're doing against that. Okay? All right. Now we're going to get into some new information, new material. Get excited. We're going to be flying through this, okay? I'm going to walk you through a master class that we teach on financial literacy. We're going to do it in a number of stages, about 8-10 slides every week, and we're going to just walk through this. And by doing it, we're kind of walking through the book, okay? So next slide. So this is what I said, How Money Works Masterclass. Stop being a sucker. And here's why, and we're going to get to what the sucker cycle is in a minute. Next slide. Okay, we're going to talk about what realities and concepts that we have to deal with for financial, as a financial foundation to build our way to financial independence, okay? We're going to build our way to financial independence. It isn't going to be a surprise when you're financially independent and you don't owe anybody any money and you're worth millions of dollars. You're just going to wake up one day and say, hey, man, I'm financially independent. I'm a financial strategist. I've had 5 people who won the lottery that I tried to sit down and work with. 5 of them that won the lottery. None of them kept their money for more than 2 years. None of them. Why? Because they didn't have this foundation. They didn't have this foundation. Most people that work for their money, the muscles that they built while working for their money are the muscles that allow them to keep it. When you just get it handed to you, a lot of times people can't hold on to it, okay? So, next slide. These are the people in the book. You're going to meet these people, and like us, they all got a story. And you'll learn these folks' book and the story, and you'll begin to relate to some of them because these are based on real people. These are the characters that are in the book, How Money Works. Next slide. Okay. You're going to hear this thing about don't think like a sucker, think like the wealthy. And here's kind of where this came from. You guys ever go to the bank? I know we don't go to the bank a whole lot anymore, but remember when you used to go to the bank and you go up to the teller? What did they tend to have sitting on the counter right there where the teller was? Usually they had some suckers, right? And I get them from my dry cleaner now when if I don't put it through the chute and I actually go in like to pick up something, right? I'll pick up a handful of these suckers. And you know what the suckers are called, right? Dum-dums. The suckers are called dum-dums. So the people who wrote this book, How Money Works, talk about the sucker cycle, the dum-dum. Okay, next slide. And so what we think about, we bring about. What you think about, you bring about. And this is from a book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And this is a truism. This is something that's true about every one of us. All of us have programming that's running through our brain. You have programming running through your brain in terms of what you think about on a daily basis. And that program has come from your past, your experiences. And when we were younger, we couldn't even control those experiences a lot of time. Things happened in our environment. But now as we get older, we have more control over them. But you have programming. Certain things, trigger you. Hello? Certain people trigger you. Certain words, certain situations. Well, that programming drives your thinking. And whatever you think about, the feelings usually follow. Have you noticed? Your feelings usually follow what you're thinking about. And then you usually take actions on those feelings. I don't feel, or I feel, and so you, or you don't. You with me? That drives our actions, and ultimately that drives your results. So a lot of times people want to change their actions so they get better results, but we got to go all the way back to programming. So the relationship we have with money and how we're doing with money is a result of programming. Do you understand your money programming? Part of what we're doing through this time together is getting you to take a look at your money programming. What were you trained to think about money? I was reading this piece about financial literacy, and it says, what's the number one way we could change financial literacy in our country and get the literacy numbers up so people know more about money? And it's pretty simple as they talk about it. Christmas is coming up. What do you talk about doing Christmas? What do you talk about doing Christmas? How much of it is about money or business or creating wealth, and how and what you're doing to do that, and talking to people in your family about maybe how you can partner together to make it happen? Or what are you talking about? Because what you think about, you bring about. So we got to program ourselves for financial success. Does that make sense? Okay. Programming drives your thinking, which drives your feelings, which drives your actions, which ends up creating your results. It's all about changing the programming. That's what this show is about, giving you different programming. Okay? Next slide. All right, these are the subjects we're going to cover. We're going to cover about the financial literacy economic crisis that's a worldwide phenomenon, the time value of money. We're going to talk about the $1 million baby, how in your family, in a couple generations, when a child is born, when they turn 18, they're going to have a 6 or 7 figure net worth at 18. What if everybody in your family was worth multiple 6 or 7 figures when they were 18? Wow. We're going to talk about the rule of 72 and the power of compound interest. This is the first part of the masterclass. Not half, it's really more like 20%. Okay, we're going to cover these concepts. So next slide. Long before the COVID virus, we were talking about the FIV virus. FIV virus, probably for the past 3, 4, 5 years. And I called it the financial illiteracy virus. If as many people who tested financial literacy tested that they were financially illiterate, if they all had COVID, we wouldn't be allowed to go out the house. Because it would be 70% of the people in the world. Wow. Okay, next slide. So as we talked about earlier, literacy is being competent or knowledgeable in an area. Financial literacy is all about earning money. And we talked about that earlier, about earning money, that the median individual income in America is $35,000. The most common income in America is around $35,000. And for households, it's about $75,000. So that's a part of our financial literacy. So how literate do you think we are in general if the average family individual is making 35 grand and the average family 75? So we want to understand how to earn, spend, save money. Once you learn to read, you'll be forever free. The same is true learning about how money works, okay? So go to the next slide. And it says a recent study found that only 30% of the world are financially literate. So what percentage are financially illiterate? 70%. That's 5 billion people around the world. There are about 7 billion people in the world. That's 5 billion people. 7 out of 10 people on the planet don't know how money works. Interest rates, insurance, inflation, the stock market, things like that. No. Why? Because we're not taught them. But we're going to walk through each one of those subjects during our time together. Okay? Next slide. It's also the number one economic crisis in America. Okay, look at this. 44% of Americans don't have how much money? Can somebody type that in the chat? just to let me know you're out there and you hear me. What 44% of Americans don't have enough money to cover what kind of emergency? A $400 emergency. When does an emergency become an emergency? When you don't have the money. If you have the money, is it an emergency? No. Does money make you happy? No. It just handles the things that money can handle. So you have more life, more energy to handle everything else. What if all the money situations in your life were handled? Wouldn't you have more emotional energy to handle the things that are also on your plate that don't have anything to do with money? Think about that. 43% of student loan borrowers are not making payments. It's in deferment. And when you put it in deferment, what happens to the interest that you owe? It goes up. $9,333 is the average credit card balance for households. Credit card interest, or credit card debt, and student loan debt are both hovering near $1 trillion. That's 12 zeros. A trillion is 12 zeros. 12. Okay? 32% of Americans have how much in retirement savings? What's that number? 0. 0. So what that means is there's going to be an elderly crisis, because who's going to take care of those people as they get old? 32% of Americans, that's 100 million people, guys. Because there's 300 million people in our country. If you just take the ones over 18, okay, it's 45 million people. So somewhere between 45 and 100 million people are going to need help. Wow. How do you handle that as a society? How do you program that in the budget? So what's going to probably happen to taxes? Up or down? Something to think about. All this stuff works together. Next slide. In a recent survey, U.S. adults said on average they lost $1,200 because they didn't understand money. What does that mean? Higher interest rates on mortgages or credit cards or automobile payments, or inability to get a loan when they needed it to fund something that was positive and good. Fees they paid when they didn't have to. Higher interest rates, etc. Okay? It's important. It costs you money not to know things. It costs you money not to know things, okay? So let's go. Let's go to the next slide. All right. 21 out of 50 states require high school to teach at least one class in personal finance. You parents out there, man, get up on your school board in the high school. What are you guys doing in the area of financial literacy? Your tax dollars should be helping educate your kids on money. And heck, you can go to the class too. Only 21 out of 50 states require at least one class. And is one class going to do it? No. But that's just one class. That doesn't work. Next slide. So think about when you went to high school. What classes in high school really helped you deal with the real world? I mean, really. When I was in high school, which was when dinosaurs roamed the earth, okay, they actually taught something called typing. They had a typing class. They had automobile repair. They had wood shop. Electrical. You can learn to be an electrician. They had trades classes in our high school. And you could take them as a course of study. Because not everybody was going to go to college. So they recognized that, and you could take a course of study. Financial literacy would be a great class to have in high school because everybody's got to deal with money, right? Everybody's got to deal with money. So next slide. The sucker cycle. Okay. Lack of financial literacy traps people in the sucker cycle, often for life. Okay. Check this out. There's a website out there called US Debt Clock. I've got it on my phone. usdebtclock.org. usdebtclock.org. And it will show you how many people and how much money is in savings accounts. And you can see this sucker cycle. What's the sucker cycle? It's you get your paycheck, we put our money in a low interest savings account, and we spend it on stuff we don't need. So how are we going to get financially independent? So check this out. I know folks that get Social Security. Social Security in the year 2022 is increasing the benefit by 5.9% as inflation. 5.9% inflationary raise in the Social Security check. Did you get a 9.9% raise at your job? If you didn't, your income actually went backwards. Is your bank paying you 5.9% interest on a savings account? If they're not, and it's actually less than 1%, the money you're saving is going backwards. It's actually every day it's less than it was the day before. Do you guys know the stock market over the past 12 months has been up over 23%? And in history of the stock market, it's averaged almost 9%. What are your investments doing? Do you have them? So one of the things we're going to talk about is getting out this sucker cycle. So I'm looking at the US Debt Clock app on my phone, okay, and it's got this how much money is being saved. Okay, how much money is being saved? Let's see if I can find it on here. It's M1. Oh, I got to scroll down a little bit. See if we can find it on here for you real quick. Personal debt. Oh, money creation. Here we go. Yeah. There's $8 trillion. It's almost $8 trillion sitting in bank accounts, basically getting no interest. Okay? So that's not good. Okay? That's not good. So how can we get better interest rates on our money? It's one of the things we're going to talk about. So next slide. So the sucker gets a paycheck, hands the money to someone else who then builds wealth with the sucker's money. Uh-oh. This guy on here said, who you calling a sucker? The average American doesn't make a whole lot of money. It's no wonder they feel trapped. Who you calling a sucker? It's not me. Let's look at how people spend money in general from a United States survey, okay, of the average person on the next slide. We take almost $181 a month to eat and take out. If you have food in your house and you go out, you're paying for the food how many times? 2 times. But Gus, we deserve a break today. Build it into your budget, your zero-based budget for financial independence. So look at this. Ride sharing, Uber, Lyft, ancient taxis, $83 a month. Events, $30 a month. The event I'm going to is going to be like $300 for 2 tickets. So it's not $30. People buy lottery tickets. Yep, P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. And W.C. Fields says we shouldn't let suckers keep their money. W.C. Fields said, don't let suckers keep their money. It's a disgrace to our society. Okay? Coffee and lattes, $60 a month. Alcohol, $29 a month. New clothing, $63 a month. And subscription services. You remember we talked about this last time? Things that you do. Like my wife gets on me about the games that I play. And I spend money on them. Subscription services you have. Netflix, Prime Video, Kindles. All these different things, man. All this stuff. Then our spending habits are in our spending habits. So what we need to do, and I'm winding down, we got like 3 minutes to go. Next slide. Your assignment before Christmas, okay, is to read this book, How Money Works. And to think about some of these concepts and some of the things we've talked about. How am I using my money? What am I spending it on? Zero-based budget. When you look at that budget, how much am I saving? How much am I investing? How much is going towards my future? What are the returns on my money? What kind of returns am I getting on my money? Was it more than 6%? It says great book, easy read. Yeah, I gave one of the books to the producer of the show and sent it down to him. He got it like middle of last week and he's read it already. It is an easy read. It's meant to be read at 6th grade level, but the ideas are powerful. The guys that wrote that book, the one guy, Tom Matthews, his company manages over $1 billion of other people's money. And he's worth tens of millions. So the guys that wrote the book, they know what they're talking about. And it's broken down in very simple concepts. So read the book. Develop your 10 reasons why. You're going to need those reasons. Why? Because when it gets hard, you want to quit working on this money thing. You won't. And you're going to want to feel a certain way about it. So when you come against some opposition, you keep going. Then you're going to complete your budget to get to the truth. What you're really doing with your money. How much you're really spending and on what? How much are you saving and where? How much you're investing and where? How's it doing? Where are you on track to? What's your financial GPS? So let's get this done before Christmas, okay? Let's get this done before Christmas. Because next time we get together, a week from today is Christmas Eve. And we'll probably run this show back on Christmas Eve. Okay, so I don't know. I have to talk to the producer, see what he's got to say. But we probably run this show back because I don't think there's going to be a lot of work going on Christmas Eve. You know what I'm saying? So we'll probably run this show back. But get your assignments done before Christmas. Take the How Money Works challenge. Get me your score and your feedback so I can get you out an ebook. That you're going to love. That's also going to contribute to your financial literacy and financial education. Okay, so guys, we're fired up. This is something you can learn. This is something you can win at. You can be financially independent, and you will if you apply yourself. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they said practice makes perfect. I said, no, practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. Okay, perfect practice makes perfect. So that's why we need to read and study to make sure that we're practicing perfectly, okay? So you guys have a great weekend. Merry Christmas. And we don't see you live next week, which you probably won't. We'll see you live in the new year, all right? You guys take care. Good talking to you. Have a good day.